Welcome back to the Next Brave Step podcast. I'm your host, Chelsy Weisz, and today we are diving into the second stage of my signature coaching method, the Next Brave Step Blueprint, your guide to transformational change. Now, this blueprint, like I said before, it isn't just a set of ideas or theories. It's a proven system that has worked for hundreds of women all around the world. So whether you're feeling stuck in your job, struggling with your finances, or maybe you're yearning for better health or seeking a more fulfilling relationship, this blueprint is designed to guide you through that transformational journey step by step. So this blueprint is a comprehensive, actionable plan that's going to help you navigate significant changes in your life. And it's broken down into 6 key stages. So the first stage is what I call the reckoning. And this is where you really recognize that need for change and confront the reality of your current situation. The next stage is what we're going to be talking about today. And this is the evaluation stage. And this is where you really assess where you are, what's working, and what's not working. The next stage is what's called the strategy stage. And this is where you start to develop that clear, actionable plan to achieve your goals. Next, we get to what is probably the best part of it, and that is taking massive action or taking that next brave step. This is really where you really implement your plan with those bold, decisive actions. Now, you don't just start running and keep going, right? Just like a plane is going to constantly course correct along the way, the next stage after that is called course correct. And this is where you are adjusting your strategy as you need to stay on track, because life is going to throw some things at you and you're going to have to adjust as you go. Now, the final stage of all of this is what's called receive and repeat. And this is where you really embrace your achievements and prepare for continued growth. So throughout this series, we are going to dive into each one of these stages in detail. In our last episode, we discussed the reckoning, and today we are moving on to the next stage, which I call the evaluation stage. So today I'll be sharing some insights, personal stories, practical tips to help you assess where you are, what's working, what needs to change. So if you are ready to take control of your life and start your journey towards transformational change, stay tuned. Remember, each brave step that you take brings you closer to the life that you've always dreamed of. So let's get started with the next brave step. Hello, and welcome to the Next Brave Step podcast, the podcast that's all about turning dreams into action. I'm your host, Chelsy Weisz. Now, this podcast is more than just something to listen to while you fold laundry. Instead, imagine I'm inviting you to join me in my kitchen, a space for genuine and transformative conversation. Here, with the sunlight streaming through the windows, margaritas and homemade guac on the table, we're ready to dive into stories and strategies that don't just inspire you to think about a better life, but give you the tools, motivation to go out there and make it happen. So pull up a chair, let's talk like old friends, and together we'll navigate the journey from turning dreaming into doing, one brave step at a time. Your adventure towards making your dreams a reality starts right here. Okay, welcome back. So I want to discuss an analogy for you. Now, if you grew up in the early 90s, there is a very good chance that you struggled with folding up that huge map on road trips, right? So back before MapQuest, back before Google Maps or Apple Maps, we had these giant maps that we would take with us on a road trip. And you would unfold it and you would have to find 2 things right away. You would have to know where it is that you were right now and where it is that you wanted to go. You had to find one and find the other. And then you could look at how to get there, what roads you needed to take, what turns you needed to take, what highways you needed to take. That's exactly how Google Maps and Apple Maps work now, right? That's how your GPS works. You have to have 2 things. You have to know where you're at right now and where it is that you want to go. This evaluation stage is where you start to do that. Okay, so I do have a workbook for you today because there's a lot of questions in this stage and there's a lot of evaluation, right? So we'll be talking about a lot of the questions in this episode, but there are also more things that you can use inside the workbook to dig a little bit deeper. So if you want to get your hands on that workbook, head down to the show notes below. There will be a link for you to click on. You can drop in your email address and I will send that directly over to you so you can work along with us during this episode. So if you want to go ahead and hit pause and go grab that now, you sure can. You can grab it afterwards. But like I said, that link will be down below in the show notes. So the first thing that I really encourage you to do is assess your current situation. And there are a few questions. You can go ahead and grab a piece of paper now, or you can grab that workbook that we talked about. And the first question is, what do I not like currently in this reality? What is it that I wish was different, right? We need to pinpoint, what do we not like? Because clearly there's something that needs to change. Now, in every situation, there are probably some things that are still going okay. What do you currently like about this situation? What is it that you want to continue to have or continue to do in your future? What parts of yourself are you going to bring along into the next stage of life, into this next level? Because we're not going to just throw everything out and, not bring part of you along or not bring you along with this journey. Part of you is going to come with. There's some things that are good that you're going to want to continue. So those first 4 questions are, what do I not like in my current reality? What do I wish was different? What do I like where I'm currently at? And what do I want to continue to do or have in my future? Again, you can grab the workbook down below for a little bit deeper self-reflection. But that is the first thing, is really determining where it is that you are right now. Now, the next thing that we needed to do is find where it is that we want to go. So how do you want this to look when you have achieved success? Is it that you don't have any debt anymore? Is it that you only pay cash for things? Is it that you have a loving relationship where you go on walks every evening together and talk about things? Is it the business that you've always wanted to? What does that look like? Now, as you start to define what success looks like, I want you to be very careful about choosing your version of success and not chasing someone else's version of success. There are so many women that I have worked with from around the world that have chased a version of success that someone else told them that they should chase. Whether it was their family that told them that they needed to get a business degree or go into banking instead of opening up the jewelry making business, instead of starting the photography business. Maybe it is society's expectations that you should stay home with kids and not have a career outside of the home. I want you to be very honest with identifying what your true desires are and not someone else's version of success. It's very easy to scroll through Instagram and decide that you want the farmhouse and the little mini Highland cows because that's what's getting a lot of views on Instagram. It's very tempting to want to chase someone else's version of success, especially in this day and age when we have things like Instagram and TikTok where we're constantly being fed other people's version of success. Whether it is, being a stay-at-home mom and your, house should look like this, or whether it is, this is what your business should look like and you should be booked out with weddings every single weekend. That version of success might be different for you. Now, when I was shooting a lot more weddings and starting my photography business, I really felt like I should be booked every single weekend because then I would have content to share. Then I looked like I was super busy. And when it came down to it, I realized that the reason that I wanted to start this business was so that I could stay home with my kids. And if I was shooting weddings every single weekend, I wasn't home with my kids. I was spending those weekends traveling. I was spending my weekdays editing. And that is when I really realized that I had to make a lot of changes in my business in order to actually live the version of my success. So that meant not taking on as many weddings. That meant charging more so that I could make the same amount of money, working fewer weekends in the summer. That meant outsourcing my editing and letting go of, you know, that part of my business because I didn't have to be the one to do that. I could teach someone else to do exactly what it was that I was doing, but I didn't need to spend all of that time doing a repetitive task that was easily recreatable. Now, as you're creating this ideal version of your life, this version of success, I want you to be careful about not dreaming too small. I want you to dream bigger. Now, often as women, we are conditioned to think small and accept less. It sucks how much this is ingrained in us. Today, I want to give you permission. I want to give you permission to dream bigger, to want more, to expect more, because you are worth it. You are worth a big, bold, beautiful life. You are worthy of making as much money as you want. You are worthy of having a relationship that you are proud of. You are worthy of building that dream home, of buying that land, of building a business that affects millions of people, of writing that book. You are worth it. It's okay to want more. It is okay to dream bigger. It is okay to pursue your dream. In September of last year, I quit a job that from the outside looked great. And there were parts of it that I really, really loved. I was the economic development director for our city. I know, pretty exciting, pretty fancy. I traveled and went to conferences. I met with people at the state level. I helped small businesses get started in our town. I created art projects that beautified our city. I got a fishing dock up at our dam. I brought kayak rentals to the water. I did a lot of really good work and I was really proud of a lot of the things. And I miss the job sometimes, but I didn't like sitting in a square office with a tiny little window, having to wear business casual clothes, having to be there from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. with an hour lunch break. I did not like that I could finish all of my work for the day, get everything done, and still be expected to sit there staring at my computer waiting for a phone to ring. I did not love the office culture, and I had to decide that I wanted something different for my life. Now, I had had this photography business for a while, and it had changed into educating other photographers. But after my divorce, I felt that I needed something that was more secure, something that was more reliable. And that is when I had applied for the job with the city and gotten it, and it was going well, but it was draining my soul. And it looked good on the outside. It supported me for that season, and I don't regret ever taking that job, but I'm glad that I left because I am doing a lot of those same things now. I am still supporting small business owners. I am still able to be as involved in city government as I want to, but my life looks a lot different than what people think that it should look like. And that's okay, because I get to write and record these podcast episodes whenever I want. I can bust out 10 of them in a day and pre-schedule them and not have to worry about it. Take some time off to, you know, raise our chickens and paint our chicken coop and play in the garden while it's beautiful and sunny out, and take my daughter to the 4-H fair and go watch the dog show with her because she's thinking about doing that next year. I can get up in the mornings and go work out with my stepson at the gym. And we can get up at 5 o'clock in the morning if we want to and do that. And then I can come home and work for 4 hours before the rest of my family is really up and running, because we're running on summertime right now. And we can go to the pool whenever we want to. I have the freedom to do all of those things because I was willing to let go of society's version of success. And it sucked. I struggled for a little bit, even telling people what it was that I did after I left the economic development, because it didn't sound as impressive as running my own business or having a podcast. To me, being an entrepreneur didn't sound as impressive as this job. And it took a while for me to really own what it is that I do and to be able to say that out loud to people. Even though I liked the way it wasn't something I felt was impressive to other people. And something that I've really worked on in therapy over the years, lots and lots of times, is understanding that other people's opinions don't matter. It doesn't matter what an 80-year-old lady at a church that I don't even attend anymore thinks about my divorce. It doesn't matter. I'm not related to her. I don't have to spend any time with her. I will see her at the grocery store or at the flower shop every once in a while. But you know what? Her looks of disgust really don't matter to me. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with not living up to other people's versions of success. And I want you to be okay with that too. So if you are ready to get clear on what your goals look like, what that end destination looks like on your map, then I want you to make sure that you download the workbook that includes the goal clarification worksheet inside our evaluation stage workbook. So like I said before, you can grab that below in the show notes. It will be there for you. Now, we talked a little bit about what my job looks like and how there was a lot of frustration and how it looks very different now. But I want to share with you another comparison, I guess. So my life right now from the outside looks pretty similar actually to my first relationship. I spend a lot of my time during the day doing the same things that I was doing beforehand. So when in my first marriage, I had my own photography business and I worked from home and spent a lot of time with the kids and had the cut flower garden and had that entrepreneurial thing going for me. And I got divorced and got wrapped up with what success should look like and got the 9-to-5 job and realized that that's not what I wanted to do with my life. I did like some things from the first part of my first relationship. And it wasn't so much a relationship. It was what I spent my time doing during the days. So right now I wrote this podcast episode on my covered porch with, our water fountain bubbling in the background and horses and chickens in the front yard and a huge garden, and, have spent a lot of the, things look very similar to what they did. But I know that tonight, my fiance, Joel, is going to come home and we are going to go on a walk down the road. And he's going to ask me about my podcast recording. He is going to be super supportive of it. And yes, he's going to ask me because he's interested, but he's asking me because I need the accountability. And the reason he knows that I need this accountability is because we had a conversation about this last week where I told him that I needed him to ask me about it in order to ensure that I got it done. And our relationship has a lot of those conversations of, what do you need? How can I show up for you? How can I encourage you? And that is what is so different in my life now. And I'm so proud of it. Okay. So in this evaluation stage, we are doing two things, right? We're figuring out where we are right now and what it is that we want. Now, it can be very, very, very tempting to figure out the how are we going to get there before we really define what it is that we want or where it is that where we're right now. And I think that's where I kind of messed up after my divorce is I just, threw everything out and was like, I need to reinvent everything instead of really taking inventory of what it was that I really liked about what my life looked like. And I really enjoyed having the time to be creative, having the time to spend with my kids, having the time and the ability to go weed in my garden while I was thinking out a problem. That wasn't something I could do at the office. I couldn't just go out and tinker with things in order to work through finding a solution. Instead, I was stuck sitting at a gray wall in a tiny little square office, which I had brought a couple plants, but I was not surrounded by the plants that I am at home. And I've realized that that's something that I really want and I need. And I need to be able to take a break and go do something that keeps me busy in order for my brain to process the solutions that I'm looking for. And I didn't take inventory of what was working. And I don't want you to fall into that trap either. So I want you to ensure that you are really being honest about what it is that you do like about your situation and how you want to take that into the next version of success, into that next chapter. So make sure that you download the workbook, which includes that roadmap creation template. That's really going to help you outline your current situation and your desired destination. Now, one of the things that can be something that we start to fall into when we are really evaluating our current situation, it can be tempting to blame others for our current situation. And it is so important to be able to take personal responsibility. Okay, so it can be super tempting to want to blame others for our current situation when we are evaluating what's going on right now. And I want you to be mindful of it because you can start to spiral into this web of just being mad at everyone instead of deciding you're going to cut the cord and move forward. So be mindful of it as you go. Now, you can recognize the influence from other people, but it is so important to move on from blame. And that is where we will deal with some of that blame and some of the anger that I guess we feel from what other people have done to get us into our situation. And we'll work on that in the strategy phase. But again, right now, don't get caught up with being mad at other people for your current situation, because what you want to do right now is just decide where it is that you are, where it is that you want to go, what do you want to take with you. That's what this evaluation stage is. There is so much power in understanding where you currently are, the bad things about it, the good things about it, and identifying what that authentic goal for you is, not someone else's version of success, but really an authentic goal for you. And even if that breaks societal norms, that's okay. Identify it, right? So I want to encourage you to ask yourself these tough questions and reflect honestly. You really do have the power to design the life, the relationship, the financial reality that you want. Now, in the next episode, we're going to be diving into our strategize stage. And this is where we really create that clear, actionable plan between point A and point B, right? So we've defined point A where we're at, and we are defining point B where we want to go. The next stage is where we set that plan, that path between the two, and how you get between them. So if you have not already downloaded the workbook for this episode, the Next Brave Step Blueprint, the evaluation stage workbook, go ahead and click the link below and grab that workbook, dive in. And want you to share your progress with us inside the community. You can use the hashtag Next Brave Step on Instagram, on TikTok. Come follow us there as we move through all of this. I want to really congratulate you on doing this hard work, for diving in, for making the declaration and the promise to yourself that you're going to change, that you deserve better, because you truly do. So thank you so much for coming along with me on this episode. And I will see you next week as we dive into the strategy stage. All right, that's it for today. I'll see you next time. That wraps up today's episode of The Next Brave Step. I've truly enjoyed having you join me on this journey. Here at The Next Brave Step, we don't just talk about our dreams, we take bold actions towards them every day. Stay connected by hitting that subscribe button, and dive even deeper with us by becoming part of the Next Brave Step Insiders group on Facebook. Let the insights and energy from today's conversation ignite your next brave step forward. Remember, every small step is a vital part of your incredible journey. So get out there and take that next step forward. You're never alone. I'll be right here cheering you on. I'll see you in the next episode.